and Neeraja would handle the Q&A session from 11 to 11:30. But otherwise, we are good to go.
Sure. Thank you, sir. And Nirja ma'am, okay from
Yeah,
your side?
yeah, it's fine for me.
Thank you. Good morning, Sahardians, and welcome to this webinar conducted by Department of Human Excellence, Sahardia College of Advanced Studies. Before we start the program, let's begin with a silent prayer. Webinars are now an integral part of our lives as webinars represent the change version of building energy and momentum. And as Charles Darwin rightly said, it is not the strongest of the species nor the most intelligent that survives, but the one that is most adaptable to change. To further talk about the importance of this webinar, may I now request Dr. Rani MJ, Vice Principal SCAS and HOD of Department of Human Excellence to ring up the curtain with the welcome speech. Ma'am.
Dear respected Reverend Father Dr. Davis Chenginiadan, Executive Director, Dr. Jensen Pivo, Principal, Dr. Matthew Paul Uken, Vice Principal, respected resource persons, Dr. Murali Tummarigudi, Chief, Disaster Risk Reduction, UNEP, Ms. Neeraja Janaki, Education Consultant and Life Coach, and dear colleagues and participants of the webinar. A very good morning to you all. We are living in a world revolutionized each fraction of the second by mind-boggling inventions, discoveries, and changes in the field of technology-aided communication. We all understand the importance of science, technology, and innovation in our day-to-day lives and the ways in which they are transforming the world. If this was not clear earlier, it is blindingly obvious now in the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Science, technology, and innovation are indispensable for our response to and recovery from this crisis. To put it very briefly, if we don't catch up with the ways of the ICT-enabled world, we are outdated and most likely to be ousted from the race called life. In this context, it is very much necessary to sensitize tomorrow's workshop about the trends and tactics of the times. We at Human Excellence Department take it up as our sacred responsibility, and hence we are here today. As the HOD of the department, it's my pleasure to welcome the resource persons, dignitaries, my colleagues, and students to this national webinar. Our resource person, Mr. Murali Tummarigudi, as you know, is an internationally renowned speaker, UN official, and writer. We feel it a blessing to listen a person whom the whole world listens. Hearty welcome, sir. It's my proud privilege to welcome Ms. Neeraja Janaki to address us and impart better insights on the topic. Hearty welcome, Ms. Neeraja ma'am. I take this opportunity to extend a cordial welcome to our Executive Director, Reverend Father Dr. Davis Chenginiadan, who would inaugurate the national webinar on social media and career management. Hearty welcome, Father. Warm welcome to our Principal, Dr. Jensen Pivo, and Vice Principal, Dr. Matthew Paul Uken. I am happy to welcome my dear colleagues and students to this program. Hearty welcome to each one of you. May our day be richly rewarding by the grace of God. Welcome one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an ardent welcome. And now, let me take the honor of welcoming our Executive Director, Reverend Dr. Davis Chennyadan, a person who believes that all dreams can come true if one has the courage to pursue them. Father, request you to please do the honors of the inaugural address.
Respected Dr. Murali, the Chief of Disaster Risk Reduction in the UN Environment Program, Ms. Neeraja Janagi, CEO, members Z4U, Dr. Jensen, Principal, Vice Principals, HED faculty members and participants. Today, the Department of Human Excellence in association with IQAC of Sarvaya College of Advanced Studies, Kotagara, Thrissur, is conducting a webinar on social media and career management in 21st century. When we are set in a post-COVID time, these are the areas of interest such as social media and career management is to be well thought for placing the future generation. As we are aware of social media that create highly interactive platforms through which individuals, communities, and organizations that share, co-create, discuss, participate, and modify user-generated content and self-curate content posted online. Yes, indeed, they can help to improve an individual's sense of connectedness with real or online communities that can be an effective communication tool for corporations, entrepreneurs, political parties, and governments. At the same time, observers have noted a wide range of negative impacts of social media use. In June 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, a nationally representative survey by Cartoon Network and the Cyberbullying Research Center in America surveyed among teens and adolescents found that the most popular overall application in the past year was YouTube. That counts to 67%. The census shows that teens become more passive spectators than future-focused positive activists. The deviations may arise in career strategy that pertains to the individual general approach to the realization of career goals and the specificity of the goals themselves. A sensible study and approach will help us to take a positive attitude and vigilance over it. For that, we have an internationally renowned expert in disaster response, Dr. Murali, who has been involved in post-disaster response and follow-up of almost all major disasters of the 21st century, including the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, and other recent natural calamities like cyclones and earthquakes. I appreciate readiness and willingness of Dr. Murali, sir, to do the first session of this webinar in order to conscientize us in social media and career management. Along with him, during this webinar, Ms. Neeraja Janagi, CEO, Members Z4U, will deal with us the second session. Both of them definitely will guide us through the subject matter, as they are well-known veterans in the area of crisis management, at the same time career management, studies and research. With these reflections, may I inaugurate this webinar and extend to you all the hearty welcome. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father, for those insightful words. And now, let me take the privilege of welcoming our resource person for the day, Dr. Murali Tumarukudi. An internationally renowned expert with over 29 years of experience in the field of environment and disaster management, Dr. Murali is a member of the UN Disaster Assessment and Coordination Team and has been involved in post-disaster response and follow-up of almost all major disasters of the 21st century, including the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. Before joining the United Nations, Dr. Murli was an environmental advisor to the oil companies of Shell Group in Southeast Asia and Middle East. He is a native of Vengola, Ernakulam district, and has obtained his MTech degree from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and later went on to receive his PhD in environmental engineering. He has also published several books and articles in leading Malayalam dailies and is an avid speaker on lots of socially and professionally relevant topics. Dr. Murli is also the winner of Kerala Sahitya Academy Awards 2018 for humorous literature. We at Sahardya are really honored to have you with us today, sir, and eagerly look forward to your session on social media and career management in 21st century. Sir, please.
Thank you, Sahardaya College, for this warm welcome and the kind words of introduction. I start by acknowledging the presence of the director, the principal, vice principal, other faculty members, my fellow panelist Neeraja, and the students. I see that more than 150 students have joined. As the students would have noticed, my background is in disaster management, and I work for the United Nations. So the subject matter which I am going to discuss, which is about social media and career, is not really my immediate professional domain of work. But over the past few years, I have been active
Mute again.
India's number one.
Dr. Murli, sir, sorry to interrupt, but I think there is a technical issue. Can you just hold on for a second, please? Dr. Murli?
Yes.
Now it's audible. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I don't know if you managed to hear anything which I said. Did you hear something, or should I start from the start? Hello? Can you hear
Last
me?
1 minute. Yes, we can hear you, sir.
I wanted to ask whether did you hear anything which I said, or should I start from the start?
So we were able to hear the starting. The last 1 minute was a problem, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I was saying that over the last 1 year, Neeraj and I have been talking to students around the world about how your social media activities and your career are linked. And before I go to that, I want to start by talking about the COVID crisis, which we are just coming out of. COVID was the biggest crisis the humanity has faced, and certainly the biggest crisis our generation have faced. In just 100 days, from a disease which was in some corner of China, it engulfed the entire world. All the 193 member states of the United Nations was affected. It started as a health crisis, then it became an economic crisis, then it became an employment crisis. More than 300 million people have lost their jobs. More than half the working population in the world, which is about 1.6 billion people, had their work impacted. It became an education crisis. The education of 160 crore students around the world was impacted one way or the other. You cannot imagine a crisis bigger than this. And we are all very glad to see that we are coming to an end. But unfortunately, this is not going to be the biggest crisis we would face, and certainly you will face in your career. If you imagine that in March 2020, you are standing on a beach and the corona crisis which came to you was a big wave which upset a lot of people and sadly took some lives. You can imagine the fourth industrial revolution, which is just coming our way, is like a tsunami. So it will be that big compared to the corona crisis which we just have had. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing that there will be major changes in technology, in our life, in our careers in the coming decades. Experts agree that the fourth industrial revolution started around 2010 with the rapid changes in the technologies of artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, 3D printing, and of course the very high bandwidth possibility between 4G and 5G. I want to ask those of you who are attending this webinar as to whether you actually heard the term fourth industrial revolution, and if you actually did, when did you first hear that term? So if you could just type in and say, I heard in 2016 or I did not hear, then I have an idea as to where we stand. I also have an idea as to how many of you are actually listening to what I'm saying. So if you could please type and say, I have heard this or not heard, it's okay either way for me because it is relatively new terminology. So the world of work is going to change. I have not seen the chats coming in, but I hope it will. Please, the question I'm asking is that, have you heard the terminology fourth industrial revolution? And if yes, when did you hear it? Which year did you hear it? 2021, 2020, 2018, 2016, whatever. Because it is important to me, because this word you are going to hear again and again. But not only, this word is going to define your entire career. And for some reason, I'm not able to see chats coming in. So I want to ask whether people are actually making some comments or not, and I'm not able to see. Okay.
Dr. Murli,
Yes.
last year I attended an international seminar in Bengaluru,
Yes.
and some of the Spanish and US, UK scholars were there. So last year, January 2020, so I heard for the first time this Industrial Revolution 4.0.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
very much.
in the last 1 year here in Sahardaya, I was introducing this terminology many times. And accordingly, you already spoke about artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, and we are giving here some of the courses like that, considering the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So this terminology is well known here in our college. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very glad to hear this. I was also trying to understand whether the students are attentive, but I get a message that I'm not a member of the chat, so I cannot see the chat. But never mind. So, according to an Oxford University study in 2013, they said that 46% of the existing jobs would vanish because of the impact of the fourth industrial revolution. 46%, which is almost half of all the existing jobs would vanish by 2030. So in just 10 years, actually less than 10 years, half of all the existing jobs would vanish. And the World Economic Forum has published a very recent report in October 2020, which said that, of course, jobs will go, but jobs will also come. And the report actually says what type of jobs are likely to go and what type of new jobs would come. We'll send you the links of this report because we cannot type into the chat forum here, but we'll send you the links with which the coordinators can then share with the participants. So the point I wanted to make is that you are entering a job market which is very, very different from the one which existed in the past, and it's going to be even more complicated in future. And where does social media come into this? So social media, we understand things like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and many others, Snapchat, and so on and so forth. I would actually speak about just 3 points of social media. Then Neerja will take you into specifics of how social media is impacting your employment. The first point in social media is that it is free to you. Facebook account, you pay nothing. YouTube account, you pay nothing. Instagram, you pay nothing. And this is amazing. This has never happened in the history of humanity that people started getting things free. And most of us don't even wonder why is that we are getting something free? Why is that we are able to do telephone calls, which used to cost hundreds of dollars in the past, but now we are able to get it free through WhatsApp? Why is the entire world of social media free? So many of you may have heard this, but if not, I want you to note that in the world of social media, if something is free, you should assume that you are the product. If something is given free to you, then you are the product. As much as you are using the social media is using you. They are understanding your behavior. They are profiling you. And there are very sophisticated computer programs called algorithms, which are constantly looking back at you during each of your interaction. There's a recent study from Oxford and from Cambridge and Stanford combined, and I'll send you the link to that study, which analyzed the social media interaction of 17,000 Facebook users. And they concluded that from your social media behavior of either liking or sharing a document or a post or a picture, the researchers are able to analyze and profile you, and they are able to understand your personality. So much so that with just 70 interaction you have with social media, with Facebook algorithm will be able to predict your personality better than that of your roommate with 70 interaction. With 150 interaction, the algorithm is able to predict you better than your brother or sister. And with just 300 interaction you have with social media, the algorithm is able to predict you better than your partner. Now you can imagine how many times you have interacted with Facebook. I would have interacted, I don't know, 100,000 times. So with 100,000 likes and shares, which I have done on Facebook in the past, the Facebook algorithm knows me so precisely that they can completely decide what I like, whom I like, what I do, what I don't do, etc. Now, you may believe that this by itself is not a problem. One of the users, the algorithm put this, and this you already know, is that if you like travel, the social media will put enough advertisements on travel around your page. If you like gadgets, it will put gadgets. If you like clothes, it will put clothes. So down to the brand which you're likely to use. Now, this is probably, you might say it's even a good thing that I don't have to go looking for the best deal in Goa or the best flight to Delhi. The social media algorithm does it for you. And this is right. That by profiling you precisely, by watching and by listening to what you do, the social media is able to place before you things which otherwise you'll have to go looking for. But there are also problems. That the social media's objective is to maximize your interaction with each other. And it is well-known psychological fact that we tend to interact more with people whom we like. So what the social media does is to put people around you who are more like you. So if you have a political leaning to, let's say, the left of center, then the social media will put people around you who are more left of center. If you are religious and if you have a certain religion, then the social media will put people around you who have the same religious views. This is to ensure that you interact maximum with each other, because if you have somebody who is opposing to your views, it is very the chance of your interaction is less. The chance that you like their post is less. The chance that you'll share their post is less. So social media places people like you around you. Now, you may also say this is not that harmful, because after all, and I want to interact with the people like me. But the problem comes if you have extreme views, you have unscientific views. Let's say you think the earth is flat or nobody went to moon and it's all fake. And there are many people like that. In the past, if you did hold such a behavior, if you did tell to those around you, your class, your friends, your family, which is composed of mixed people. So there will be at least some people who are rational and logical who will challenge you and say this is stupid, that is not flat. Men did in fact go to moon. But on the social media, what it does is that it places people around you who think like you. So very soon, you will be surrounded by people who all believe that the earth is flat or men never went to moon, and which reinforces your ignorance. And the same goes for extreme religious view or political view or nationalist view. So what the social media does is that it reinforces your beliefs, whichever direction it is, and is neutral to that. And that is a problem for you, and Neerja will explain how that will impact your career. But I want to tell you that the social media algorithm looking at you, profile you, and then it basically push you into the extreme corner without you even knowing it. The second point about social media, which I want to tell you, is about how easily social media let you connect with other people. So there is a philosophy or a theory called 6th degree of separation, which actually started, I think, in the 1920s when somebody proposed that any human being on this planet is connected to any other human being on this planet just by 6 people in between. For example, someone like me, and let's say the President of the United States, are very far. I don't know the President of the United States at all. But the theory says that I would know somebody who would know somebody, and before you are into the 6th person, that person would know the President of the United States. And this is true for every human being on this planet. This is what the theory which was in existence. So you could be the most remote part of Mongolia, and on the other side is me, but just by 6 degrees of separation, you would reach each other. So which means that the Earth is a lot more connected than what you think. You would imagine that you have really no connection, no way of connecting to somebody who is rich, famous, important. But the theory always said, no, you could actually reach out to other people. And this theory was never tested. It was tested empirically. Few people tested here, there. But as a collective sense, it was never tested. But when Facebook reached 1 billion people, it allowed people to test this hypothesis. And it actually found something so dramatic that the world is actually even more connected than what the 6th degree of separation said. So it said on an average, it only takes between 4 to 5 degrees of separation for somebody to reach anybody else on the planet. Any Facebook user on the planet is connected to any other Facebook user by just between 4 and 5. And you can actually check your degree of separation on the Facebook. There are software available, and you should look at that. So the second point I want to say is that the social media has made it possible for you to reach out to any part of the world and be connected to anybody. And Neeraj will once again explain as to how one could do that to maximize your employment potential. The third point I want to make is that the social media has made the world very flat. In the past, the best example I could give, something which you'll understand, is that of Collector Bro Prashant in Kozhikode. When he became the collector, he used social media so effectively that even a school children, even a child in a school, could actually write to him on the social media and ask a question, and he would respond. And now that's not news anymore. Many other very dignitaries are doing that. So that has become a lot more flat with the social media. And the powers have been turned around. These days, somebody who is a social media influencer is able to frame the public opinion a lot more than people in official capacity, people who are politicians, or people who are writers. So social media has made their flat and a place of more influence. All this have profound influence on your future careers. So as much as you think of a career in whatever you are doing, you could also think of social media itself as a career. As I said, social media influencers, such as bloggers, are able to influence people more than politicians and officials. But they're also able to make more money by doing that than their counterparts. If you are a cook, of course, you could work in the best of the hotels in Kerala. But if you are doing that on Instagram, then you would earn lot more money than working there. So consider social media not only as impacting your career positively or negatively, but as a career in itself. I would stop at this point and hand it over to Neeraja to give some specifics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for re-emphasizing the fact that social media works just like the English idiom that we have, birds of a feather flock together. Thank you very much, sir, for that informative session. And to continue on the perils of social media and to highlight the fact that a danger foreseen is half avoided, I now invite Miss Nirja Janaki. Ms. Nirja Janaki is a career counselor and a life coach at Mentors for You, which is Kerala's first life coaching center. Ms. Janaki has an MPhil in psychology from MG University, Kottayam, and has a professional interest in education and career counseling, for which she has traveled extensively in Europe and Southeast Asia. Ms. Janaki was a consultant for Kerala Youth State Commission from 2018 to 2019 before venturing into Mentors for You, and has umpteen blogs on career and life issues. Saharya College of Advanced Studies is indeed delighted and welcomes Ms. Nirja Janaki to talk about how social media can either be a boon or a bane for your future employment prospects. Over to you, Ms. Nirja Janaki.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Actually, I'm planning to talk about social media and employability, how your social media activities affect your chances of getting a job. That's what I'm planning to talk right now. So we are all having social media accounts in different platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, like that. So we spend a major chunk of our time, active in social media platforms. Now the question is whether your activities in social media influence your employability or not. The answer is yes, but in two ways. In one way, it can slightly improve your chance of getting a job, but sometimes it may reduce your chance of getting employed or even losing your job. So I'll divide these social networking platforms into broadly into two types. One is professional networking platforms, and the other one is personal space like Facebook and LinkedIn. Sorry, Facebook and Instagram. So the first category is professional networking. Examples are LinkedIn, Meetup, Biomitra, you might be knowing that. So these are focused solely on interactions and relationships of a business nature rather than including personal non-business interactions. For example, I'll take LinkedIn. I assume most of you have a LinkedIn account. If not, I recommend you to start an account there. So what you do there, you can make business connections. You can share your resume. You can showcase your work experience, your research experience, your education qualifications. You can search for a job. It definitely increase your chance of getting a job, because in LinkedIn there are world's best academicians, researchers, business persons, etc. They have LinkedIn presence. Also, there are world's biggest world famous companies and organizations. They also have their presence in LinkedIn. They might be searching for personnels. In the current world, I must say, whom do you know is more important than who do you know. So connecting with such people would expand your network. Now, as I mentioned, there are companies and organizations that are present in LinkedIn who are searching for employees, potential employees. If they find your profile is suitable for their organization, they will definitely approach you. Right now, it's happening. Also, in future, this trend will be very common. So the next thing I want to share is how to create a profile in a professional networking platform. So unlike other platforms, you should give your professional information there. Your academic qualifications, your profession, your interested fields, your work and research experience, your skills, referrals from professors and colleagues, your original articles, you can share it there. So these are things to be, there are some things to be considered there. If you're, if you are trying to create an account, you should showcase, as I mentioned before, all those information from your side. Actually, you are creating a bio, a brief bio or your resume there. You need an active email ID, which should be an active email ID. If you are actively seeking for job, check your email and messages at least twice a day. You should respond for an email within, within at least 24 hours. Your email ID should look professional because there are usernames such as superman89@gmail.com, like that. You have to avoid that mistake. It's a mistake actually. It should, your ID should look professional, should look formal. Then spend some time to write your bio there. You have to avoid spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes. If needed, let someone review it. Also, a formal looking photo should be there. You should not use group photos, sceneries, flowers, photos taken in parties using alcohol and such photos. You know that. So use a straight looking formal looking. It should be your photo. Now your profile is completed. It's almost complete. So you can start connecting people from your preferred field. Don't forget to make it inclusive. Add people from other countries as well. So it'll widen your chances of your world actually. Then you need to engage in posts. You don't have to keep an inactive account there. You have to be active there. You have to engage in posts. There are groups there. For example, in LinkedIn, there are LinkedIn groups. You can find them from your preferred sector and get engaged there. You can be a part of discussions there. But one thing you have to keep in mind is keep your language, your communication formal. Mind your language when you communicate there. Keep it formal and professional. Also, I would like to remind you that LinkedIn is not a chatting space. So if you are approaching someone, you are connecting with a professor or a professional from any side, you have to approach them formally. You can send messages, but keep it formal, just like you send emails, not like WhatsApp messages or FB messages or crafts like that. So this is what I wanted to talk about LinkedIn and professional networking sites. You can ask questions about it. Now we are moving to other social media platforms, which are slightly personal platforms. You may have FB or Insta accounts. I'm sure you will be happy if you don't have one. So you may be present in Twitter or YouTube or wherever it is, whatever it is, but you need to consider a few points if you are active there. Actually, what we do there in social media accounts, we interact with people. We all share our thoughts, our ideas, our skills, our posts, comments to others' posts. So if you're looking for a job or planning for an international travel, or you're currently working abroad, it is risky to share a particular set of contents. First one is extreme views on religion and politics. Uh, we are all Malayalis. Most of us are Malayalis and Indians. We have political ideologies, we have sides, we have religious belief. Even if you're using your local language, as Dr. Murali mentioned before, this is the time of artificial intelligence. You can convert, can translate any local language into any other languages. So it doesn't mean that you are safe if you are interacting in Malayalam or some other local languages. So expressing your extreme views on religion and politics is a risky thing. Then your sexist views, your homophobic ideas. I think you have an idea about sexism. It is judging people based on their sex, whatever it is. The other one is racist expressions. and comments and posts that often negatively portray people from different countries and different ethnic groups. It's always present in social media based on, based on color and ethnicity. This is a risky thing. Then the other point is international politics. We know that we have been reading several issues and negotiations between different countries around the globe, and we all may have our own opinion regarding this. For example, China-US issues, Israel, Palestine, India, Pakistan, Russia, China, like that. But this can be a problem at any time if you're looking for a job internationally or currently working in another country. Also, if we have any plan for international travel, we bear. Simple example as, we just mention about, other countries, presidents or their issues. We may have, we may have a side or we may have an opinion. We'll express it there. So if you're planning for international travel, they'll analyze it actually. If you're planning to travel across US and you're applying for a visa, they'll ask your social media ID actually. We don't know what these FB platform or these free social media platforms are sharing with other governments. So we don't know what all information they can find, or they may simply reject your visa. So the other thing is criticizing kings and monarchs. We all know we are in a democratic environment. It is very, it's very common for us to criticize our rulers, but internationally, we cannot do this. This is not the case. For example, in Thailand, if you are traveling to Thailand, they have a strict law that you cannot criticize their king, their legal heir, their queen, or you may be in jail for another 18 years. So this is the case. One thing I want to stress is understand, there is no privacy in any of the social media or digital platforms. It's not so easy as you enter there to get out of there. So your digital footprint will remain forever, even if you are using a private chat, even if you are using a WhatsApp or text messages. If you're serious about your career or actively searching for a job, you should behave professionally in any digital platform. It is the time of AI, as Dr. Murali mentioned in the first session, and we are using these platforms for free. Our digital footprint, our data, our history of our interaction, it's all there. You cannot cover up your unprofessional side with a well-written resume. And we have seen many examples. Some people made comments on Kerala politics from Gulf countries and lost their job. See, they made comments in Malayalam, a regional language. It's about regional politics. There are another examples as well. I suggest you to read a story of Justine Sacco. She was traveling to South Africa from the US. She's a US citizen. In the middle, she made a racist tweet. She had a very few followers, maybe less than 500. Only when she landed, she realized her tweet became so viral and protests happening all around the world, her employer was forced to remove her from the job. So see, within a few hours, everything turned upside down. So it should be, your activities should be professional in any digital platforms. That's the only thing I would recommend about social media. So be active in professional networking platforms. If you have any other comments or doubts, I'll answer after the session. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Janki, for re-emphasizing the fact that a successful person places more attention on doing the right things rather than doing things right. And now, may I take the privilege to invite Dr. Jensen Pio, Principal of Sahardia College of Advanced Studies, for the concluding remarks on the aspects of today's webinar. Sir, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Respected Executive Director, Reverend Dr. Davis Chinginiadan, resource persons, Dr. Murali Tumarapudi, and Ms. Neeraja Janagi, our Vice Principal, Dr. Rani M.J., my dear colleagues, viewers, both online and offline. We have this COVID-19 or novel coronavirus taught us how to carry our day-to-day life through social media. Professionals can use social media platforms as a way to enhance their knowledge of technology, marketing, and news for their industry, network with other professionals, and provide an online space where clients can interact with them and provide feedback about their products or services. Social media job searching sites can help hiring managers to get a more clear sense of their potential employees and their backgrounds before they have been interacted. They have even interacted. Social media makes it easy for recruiters to understand you better, your likes, dislikes, and how you might fit within the company. Even if some bad or adverse effects are noticed, we are familiarizing with this new generation world. Dr. Murali talked about social media career. He also raised the health crisis, job crisis, and now education crisis. That they are the results of COVID-19 now. We heard Industrial Revolution 4.0 already. He cited that also. Very well explained the importance of use and view of social media. Social media very easily connects us with other people, say even VVIPs, like our Prime Minister or even present US President. We can ask questions through social media and they will readily answer for our questions. You can earn money through social media. Coming to Ms. Neeraja Janagi, social media like Facebook, Instagram surely influence us. They are influencing us. Most of our time we are in front of these social media. Use our mails carefully. That is the direction given by her. Always keep our conversations formal because others also might have watched our conversations. Extreme use of politics and religion is risky. Criticizing other countries is also risky. More points they have mentioned. I think this was a very interesting session from both Dr. Murali and Ms. Neeraja Janagi. On behalf of all present here as well as through online, I convey my personal regards and thanks to them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And as Thomas Berger rightly said, the art and science of asking questions is the source of all knowledge. And the first step to receiving an answer is to be brave enough to ask a question. Yes, you have guessed it right. We now flag off the interaction round, wherein your questions and doubts shall be addressed by a renowned guest. Students, you can now post your queries in the chat box and get them clarified by our expert guest. Please use your chat box to post your queries. The interaction round already starts. And Dr. Murali, just to tell you, most of our students had reverted to your question on Industry 4.0. Unfortunately, the chat box wasn't available for your viewing, but many of them had responded, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, Rohit, please go ahead, ask your question. So just a minute, sir. There are a lot of questions coming in.
Yes. I would imagine the moderator will call out the questions or the person will ask the questions. I will be staying for 10 more minutes.
Sure, sir. I'll be reading out the questions. Okay, sir. The first question we have is from Rohit. The question goes like this, sir. Regarding UNYPP, India is not a participating country. Can we expect this in future? Sir, this is directed to you.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. As you know, as I mentioned in passing, UN has 193 member states, and so not every country is put into YPP list. Young Professional Program is what is called YPP every year. So India was on the list in the past, and India would certainly be on the list in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a question from Pranav Raj. How can online platform help during the COVID-19 times? I believe he's asking in terms of the professional setup.
Thank you. As I said, social media is the lifeblood of our social life these days. So during the COVID crisis, we were on one side counting on social media for information above all on everything else. And I can give you a number of ways in which social media helped us to obtain the correct information, make the correct decision, to contact the right people, and so on. But since this particular event is about professional, I will restrict my answer to how it helped our professional life. Number one, as you know, when the educational crisis started, teachers and students really did not know how to continue their education. And in hundreds of schools around the state, lessons were conducted by the lecturers taking videos and sending around WhatsApp messages to their students, for example. So that's the start. The students were connecting with one another on WhatsApp so that common information on learning could be shared. And because one could not do real applications and real interviews, people are depending more and more on LinkedIn. Both employers and employees were looking for professional networks to advertise as well as recruit people. And most social media profiles have started training people. So LinkedIn almost became a LinkedIn university where hundreds of courses were available and people started learning on them. So there are many ways in which people have started using social media for professional growth during the lockdown. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And now we have an interesting question from Alina PJ. Her question is that while applying for a job in a reputable company, you all just mentioned that they do a check on your social background. That is the social media background. So the question goes like this, that even they somehow dig out even deleted posts which includes pictures, videos and tweets before hiring the candidate. How is that fair? Isn't that a breach of privacy? That's the question.
Neerja, do you want to take that question? I can answer, but if you want to start, and then I can continue.
I'll answer one part of this question. Yes, definitely, companies will, dig out your previous posts. So we don't know what, for example, I'll take Facebook. We don't know what Facebook shares with other companies or other governments. Or we don't know their what's happening internally. So we need to be careful. That's what I can say. Definitely, companies will search your name. You can also do one thing. You can just Google your name. So just see what you can see there. If there is something risky or dangerous you feel, then just be careful. You can just Google your name and see what are the results coming. So then they'll definitely search for your social media profile. They'll just, uh, in future it'll be doing by artificial intelligence. So it'll be very easier for them rather than doing, by a human being searching your details. So this is true. They'll search for your professional and personal social media accounts. So Dr. Murali can also contribute to this question.
Thank you. Part of the question was that isn't it a breach of privacy? And the answer is yes, it was. It is a breach of privacy. But the question is, as an employee, what can you do? Because you don't even know what the other person is doing. You don't know what, as Nir just said, Facebook is doing with your data. This is the price you pay for having access to this very fantastic system, paying no money. So yes, it is breach of privacy, but as an individual, there's very little you can do about it. In Europe, they have introduced something called Global Data Protection Regime, GDPR. To some degree, it might protect, but we are not there yet. Thank you.
Sir, I have one doubt. That is, as we know, several companies and institutions have introduced work from home after COVID-19 pandemic. Now I fear that this work from home will continue even after this COVID-19 situations. What is your opinion, sir?
Absolutely, it will continue without doubt. Facebook, a major employer, has already announced that none of their employees are to return to their office. Twitter have said the same. Tata Consultancy, who employs 500,000 employees, have said half of those employees will never be coming back to work. Wipro in Bangalore, who were building buildings to accommodate employees, have decided that they are going to stop building those new buildings. In Technopark, you read that tens of thousands of square feet of area has been given back by companies. So the work from home will absolutely continue. But I think what is going to happen is something different, that people will get bored of working from home. Home is not really built as a workplace, and it's not healthy for the work or the family or your health itself, because nobody looks at the ergonomics, nobody looks at the light, nobody look at the seating, and so on. So what is more likely to happen is a concept called work near home. So instead of me, if I'm working in Facebook and my original place of employment was San Francisco, I may choose to come to, let's say, Chalakudi, but instead of sitting in my house, I may go to the nearest shared workspace where I have good ergonomics, good coffee shops, good company, maybe arrangement for my child to be taken care. And I meet with other colleagues who are working for like Apple or Google or other institutions, Government of Kerala, Government of India, etc. So we will see a proliferation of shared workspaces which are remote from their original working places. So this is, I think, where the world is going. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we have a question from Ms. Meti. How important is it to be seen, seen is in double inverted commas, how important is it to be seen on social media for one's career growth?
Yes. Nirjay can take that.
Hi, would you please repeat the question?
Sure, ma'am. How important is it to be seen on social media for one's career growth?
Okay. One thing, as I mentioned before, professional networking platforms, they foster our chances of getting employed through connecting with professionals and companies around the world. So this is a more direct thing. I think you got that point. Then coming to other social media platforms, suppose I have mentioned all the risky factors that it's about your activities there and how this will hinder your chance of getting a job. But see, if you don't have an account, a Facebook account, and you applied for a job, and see, when your potential employer trying to find you on Facebook or Instagram or any other platform, your profile doesn't exist there. They might be thinking you are a person from the 19th century and not fit for current era. They might be, get an idea like that. They'll be judging you based on that. So I think it is always good to be present in social media platforms, but use it wisely. That's what I can say. Dr. Murali can contribute to this question, can add on something.
Thank you, Neeraj. I entirely agree with you because of all what Neeraj mentioned. If one were to make a decision that let's not have an account on social media, that will not be seen kindly by the employment market. So you must have an account, but you must behave responsibly. That's the message we are giving.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And now we have another question which goes like this, that nowadays there are various new branches, especially in engineering, which are being introduced by mixing two different branches. Example, mechatronics. As far as Industry 4.0 is concerned, should these courses be given importance or should we follow with the root courses?
Nirja, do you want to take it?
You can comment on it.
Yes, thank you. Neeraj mentioned this in passing. When we normally talk about career management, but not related to social media, we reflect on this topic quite a lot. As Neeraj mentioned, in future, it is not so much as to what you know, but whom you know, which is going to determine your career prospects. Many people assume that going to new age courses is a better way of achieving better career. So in the past, people went for environmental engineering and then biotechnology and then nanotechnology. But by and large, this failed because the market was not aligned with it. Secondly, the course and the syllabus were not sufficiently thought through. Thirdly, there are not enough teachers who could train people on these topics. Fourthly, the market sometimes did not understand. The market understands what a mechanical engineer will do or an electronics engineer will do. But somebody with mechatronics, they don't know. So when the times are good, such as there's a lot of employment opportunities, these things don't matter. When the times are bad, these things start to matter and people get back to those you are familiar with. So our recommendation in all our webinars has been not so much to go and look for new and modern courses. Instead, look for good institutions. Look at the national ranking framework if you are working in India. Look for the international ranking framework if you are looking abroad. And take the basic type of courses for your undergraduate degree. Take mechanical engineering, take electrical engineering. And any specialization you want to do, you do it either as a certification or as an elective, or if you are so inclined as a master's degree. We don't recommend going to master's degree immediately these days. It's more appropriate that you seek out to the employment market sooner. But by taking electives. And the new education online revolution, which has happened during COVID, has made it possible that even as you pursue mechanical engineering, you can go into LinkedIn or Coursera and study whatever you want to study about electronics or physics or music there, so that you accumulate your knowledge on another domain as well. So the short answer is, our recommendation is not to go for mixed up courses, but to good educational institutions, but more foundation courses. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we have another interesting question over here. This is from Anne Lynn. Her question is directed to Neerja ma'am. Ma'am, you mentioned how a social media engagement is critically analyzed by potential employers. What if I had tweeted something controversial in the past which grabbed attention, and I totally disagree to that statement at this point of time? What can I do for that particular incident not to affect my career? So something that she had posted in the past, and now she no longer believes in it, and now she's looking out for a job. So what should she do to remove that?
Yes. Before Neerja start, if I could just say something and leave, because I have to leave now. If you follow the news in the last 2 days, there's a news from Oxford University. So somebody of Indian origin was elected as a president of the Oxford Union. But she had to resign because of something which she said many years back on Facebook. And she said, I completely disowned those things. But she had to still resign. So digital footprint is real. You may be able to wriggle out of it. By and large, things are not good if you did something like that. To ungoogle yourself is almost impossible. I have to leave at this point. I hope that the session will continue and you'll have good interaction with Neerja. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. It was definitely an honor for us to listen to your words of advice. And this was really a wonderful session that you had with us today. Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Neerja, we have a lot of questions coming in. So I'm just, students, I hope you will agree with me that it won't be possible for me to ask all the questions. So I'm just taking few selected questions over here. Please do bear with me. Okay, ma'am. This is from Edwin. Now, as we are entering the artificial intelligence age, how does this affect the current employee system? And how does this make changes in our career opportunities? What are the different career opportunities available in the artificial intelligence era?
Yeah, before answering this question, I would like to mention, I'd like to comment on the previous question that Dr. Murali mentioned before. So, that scenario when you have commented something in your past, but now it's it coming to a discussion and you have to resign your job and like that. This situation is overall, this is called cancel culture. You can Google cancel culture. So you'll find what it is. But actually it is sad if the individual, may have been, not longer believe that previous idea, but still have to receive blame on it. But this is a mob lynching like culture, but we have to face it. So this is what I mentioned, that your digital footprint will remain there forever. So please Google about cancel culture. You will receive it. So now coming to this question, um, sir, could you please repeat the question which you just read out?
Yes, ma'am, sure. Now, as we are entering into the artificial intelligence era, how
Yeah.
does this affect the current employee system and how does this make changes in our career opportunities?
Yeah. Okay. I think Dr. Murali has mentioned it before, because many of our jobs will be, will going to vanish. Some new jobs are coming. So, but the problem is, we need to constantly learn something. So this is the future will be depending on a continuous learning. You have to, one thing you need to do is just start your job as soon as possible. If you want to go for a graduation, just go for it. Otherwise, you have to enter as early as possible to the employment market. Then you can learn according to the changes coming in your, job work environment. So you can go back to the college and learn something. Then you can start your job again. Otherwise, you can always learn online. So online learning will be the future of learning. I'm sure about it. There are a lot of studies are coming in. So you have to train yourself. You have to reskill and upskill according to the demands coming in job market. You might be entering as a basic engineer, or a human resource professional, or a technician, whatever it is. You're not going to do the job in in your entire career and retire from the job as an engineer itself, but you have to get into one job. Then you have to reskill yourself or upskill yourself. You will be, the nature of your job will be changing, keep changing actually. Then you will end up in some other job like that. It'll be the future of employment. I think you got the message. I had shared some links from the Oxford Martin School study and World Economic Forum study, so you can read it and get a brief idea about the future of employment.
Thank you, ma'am. And I believe reskill and upskill, two important mantras for the new generation. Okay, we'll take one last question. We have lots of questions coming in. So since we are running short of time, I'll take one last question. The question is from Thomas, Mr. Thomas. Will social media ever be replaced by something more powerful, innovative, and progressive in the future, or does it have the full potential to stay productive forever? I think.
I don't know actually, but it can happen. It can happen. The world is, constantly changing, especially the world of technology, artificial intelligence, and robotics. So, the pandemic right now, it's happening right now, but has accelerated the changes. We were expecting the industry 4.0 and, in around 2030, but it's already happened. So the changes are accelerated. So we can expect anything, but I'm sure the remote working, remote learning, online learning, and online working will be very common in future. That will be the future of employment and learning. So we have to be, we have to get ready for that. We need to, or we should be ready to upskill, to reskill ourselves in any, it'll be a very competitive world. Also, we have to be ready for that. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. And that was a volley of questions. And my gratitude to ma'am, to you, Ms. Nirja Janki, as well as Dr. Murli, for being such patient listeners and with such prudent answers. Students, yeah.
Sorry. I have one thing to say. Dr. Murali and I'm I'm present in LinkedIn, so you can send a connection request if you are there. Also, you can reach out us to our email. I'll share my email ID here in the chat box, so you can always send an email if you have further questions or clarifications. Thank you.
So students, please note that in case your questions have not been answered, you can befriend them on LinkedIn, or you can, ma'am is putting in her email ID, you can send your questions over there. And students, important announcement for you. A feedback link has been shared in the chat box, and we request all the participants to kindly fill and submit it today itself. Certificates shall be provided to only those who submit the feedback form. You can find the link in the chat box. And now, to wrap up this wonderful and insightful session, may I now invite Ms. Sindhu Thomas, the webinar coordinator for the day and an efficient counselor from the Department of Human Excellence, to do the honors of giving the word of thanks. Ms. Sindhu.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So, we have reached the end of this webinar. Today, I take the opportunity to put my gratitude into words. First of all, I thank God Almighty for making this webinar great success. On behalf of Sahridaya College Management and all students, I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to Dr. Murali Tumargudi for his eminent presence and informative talks. Thank you, sir. Sir, you are an exemplary person, and we have a lot to learn from you. I would also express my sincere gratitude to Ms. Neeraja Janagi. Ma'am, we are really enlightened by your presence and knowledge. Thank you very much. I express my heartfelt thanks to our Executive Director, Reverend Dr. Davis Chinganiadan, for he has been present throughout this seminar. Thank you so much, Father. I thank our Principal, Dr. Jensen, for assisting and encouraging all of us. Thank you, sir. I thank our Vice Principals, Dr. Rani MJ and Dr. Matthew Paul Uken, for sparing their valuable time with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Wholeheartedly, I thank Dr. Rani MJ, HOD, Department of Human Excellence, for her support and guidance for organizing this seminar. Thank you, ma'am. My heartfelt congratulations and gratitude to my all colleagues of Human Excellence Department for their hard work and team spirit. Thank you all. We have been fortunate enough to get the whole support of our IT department and other teachers. Thank you, Ranjit sir and team. I thank all the students who have participated in this wonderful webinar. Once again, I thank you all. Have a nice day.
The session is now officially concluded, and may I request all the students to log into your next class as per the timetable. Thank you so much, Neeraja ma'am. Thank you.